time for bye-bye. You've made that brave and courageous decision, not easy, but a courageous decision to end it. So how do we end this friendship with grace? Because we still want to be respectful. We're kind human beings. We're not a piece of shit. How are we going to do this with grace? And it doesn't always end with a dramatic conversation. It doesn't require a huge fucking D&M where you go, I'm breaking up with you. Okay. If you want to do that, go for gold. For me personally, it's always just a slow fade. Slow fade. Withdraw yourself. I just want to reassure you that that's okay. We're not all fucking perfect. We're not all Tony Robbins out there trying to have difficult conversations with people. We're human beings. We've held on to these people for sometimes longer than 10 years. We do not need to have an abrupt, dramatic conversation of, we're done. You're done. Okay? Slow fades are okay. Then it begs the question of when to have, quote unquote, excuse me, Mako, begs the question of when should you have, quote unquote, the talk, and what do you say if you decide to have that talk? It's important to value what you guys have had together and shared together up until that point, and just acknowledge that I'm very grateful and I value the time we have had together and what we've experienced together and shared together and what you've brought to my life up until this point. But I want to acknowledge that I feel like we're going in different directions. We're growing in different directions, right? Are you good? Cat's jumping up. And these, again, you may not be in the position where you can have an honest conversation like this because you don't feel supported. You don't have deep level conversations. They don't appreciate your boundaries. If that's the case with this person, a slow fade is probably best. But for whatever reason, if you do feel comfortable having these conversations, you definitely want to acknowledge what you've had together. And I think it's important to note, for me personally, I realized that, people bring different things to your life at different times for a reason. Like, it's okay for people to be chapters in your book versus a main character for the whole fucking book. So before you have that conversation, get clear on that yourself. What have you valued about this friendship? What have they brought to your life in a positive way? And still be grateful for that and respect that, but honor yourself enough that that is no longer what you need, what serves you. They no longer continue to contribute positive stuff to your life, but they did at one point, and that's okay. Be grateful for that. But acknowledge we're now growing in different directions, okay? It's give yourself peace. No, scratch that. Give yourself permission to choose peace over people pleasing. Give yourself permission to choose peace over people pleasing. And I think this is why it's so difficult for people to break up with their friends, because we know how we feel. We know we don't want them in our life anymore, but they're going to be upset if I say this, or, what are they going to feel like if I'm not around? All this stuff starts going on in your head because it's easier for us to be people pleasers and hurt ourselves in the process than it is putting ourselves first and potentially hurting the other person, right? So it starts with giving your permission for that peace. What are the positives of not having them around anymore? We've established everything positive they brought to our life up until this point, but we're no longer getting that. We've outgrown each other. So what are the positive reasons that letting them go, how will that impact my life in a positive way moving forward? It's good to also establish that, because that's the whole fucking point. Breaking up with your friend is they're no longer serving you. I don't need you in my life, okay? And again, that's okay. That's not a bad thing. That doesn't mean you're a bad person. You're just not serving me anymore, doll. Love and appreciate you up until this point, but that's where it ends, One thing I will say, when you're ending a friendship, remember, it's with grace. You want to avoid ghosting. I'm sure we've all been ghosted before, but remember, it may not be because they're a shit person. So we don't want to disrespect them. We don't want to be rude. We don't want to be mean about it. It's unnecessary for your mental health and their mental health to just ghost someone, even though that may be an easy choice. We're better than that, Del. We're more mature than that, So if you decided to have the chat, have the chat. That's how you have the chat. Add a little bit of cleanup